Welcome back to another HanSelah video. Today's video is quite exciting because I'm going to be painting a Dragon Ball Super artwork. My fiancé is a big DBS fan and he collects a bunch of those collectible cards, kind of like the Pokemon ones but for Dragon Ball. And he has this big box that he keeps some of his cards in, so I'm going to be painting the lid and making it look a little better. As soon as I started the painting, I actually went and bought some new acrylic paint and some new brushes, so this is what happened here. So I am going to be using these Princeton mixed media brushes as well. I've never used Princeton brushes, so let's see. Ooh, lulu. Ooh, these are nice. These are mixed media round brushes, and I like round brushes because you can get a lot of fine details. As you can see, there is a ton of small detail here, so I'm definitely going to need some nice fine brushes. Okay, so I hope that gives a little insight as to why some of it was already painted, and yeah, it's because I changed paints halfway through, and I also bought some new brushes because my current brushes had just seen their day and I needed to get some that I could do really fine, small, beautiful details with. Because yeah, as you saw, there's a lot of detail in this artwork and I did not want to have to sit there with large, horrible old brushes. So very exciting. These are Princeton brushes and I've never actually used them before, so it was quite nice to experiment and play. And yeah, I really liked them actually. They were good quality. And I used my kneadable eraser just to pick up some of the pencil, and I started mixing some skin tones. So with my skin tones, I like to use red, blue, yellow, and then I also put some yellow ochre and some white. And that's how I ended up getting some nice skin tones and some shadows. I started off with Goku because he's obviously the centerpiece, and then I worked on, I think it's Vegeta on the left. Yeah, I like to think that I know a lot of the characters, and I think I do, but every now and then my fiance would be like, oh, who's this? And I'm like, okay, I've never seen that guy before in my life. There are just so many characters in this series and I didn't want to leave any out, so I just kind of went online and I found a reference image. I don't know who the original creator of this composition is, but obviously I'm not going to be selling this artwork. It's just for us to keep at home, so it's okay using a reference image. I'm not, making any personal gain off of it. Obviously, that's something you always have to keep in mind when you're doing fan art or, drawing characters that have been made by someone else. Like, yeah, there's always nitpicky things and I've always got to be cautious about it. But yeah, obviously, as I said, this is just going to be at home. I'm not selling this artwork. And yeah, so I kind of started with all the painting and I was working it up in layers and I moved on to all the blues. And yeah, this paint, I've never used this Liquitex heavy body paint before either. I did do a whole review on this paint and swatched it, so you can check that out. I'll link it in the bio and I'll add a little card so you can see it. I originally wanted to get the golden paints, but they were out of stock and they only have half the colors that I wanted, and then I had to order it from 2 separate shops, and then I would have had to pay separate shipping, and I was just like, no, that's way too much effort. So I just ended up getting the Liquitex ones. Again, this is not sponsored by Liquitex, nor is it sponsored by Princeton brushes. I bought all of those with my own money. But yeah, it's always so much fun playing with new art supplies. I mean, who doesn't enjoy that? And I just can't wait to just dive in and use every single color. So I tried to use as many of the colors as I could, but obviously I was sticking to the DBS color scheme and all the characters' colors. So I couldn't deviate too much, but it was still lots of fun. And now I was working on Frieza. I actually have done a Frieza painting before for my fiance. I've done a couple of Dragon Ball Super paintings for him and he keeps them. We've got them framed in our house. So I have done Frieza before, but yeah, it was nice to paint him again. I also painted Beerus and Goku Super Saiyan and Goku Black and then a normal Goku as well. I think those are the ones that I've done. So yeah, I decided to do this in acrylic paint because if it obviously ever gets wet, hopefully it never gets wet because it's on cardboard, but if it ever does, it will not run away. So I used acrylic paint, like the Liquitex heavy body acrylic paints, but then I also used my Artistro pens, which are paint markers. So those are kind of used for finer details, and yeah, if I didn't feel like mixing colors ever had it in a paint marker, then I just used the paint marker, which was quite nice. I also used the black for the hairs instead of having to paint in all of the hair. It was so much easier just to draw it on with a paint marker. So I'm using the Artistro markers. They are apparently a budget friendly option compared to Posca markers. Personally, I've only used a couple of Posca marker colors, so I can't really vouch for, you know, using a whole set of them. But yeah, I've used a lot of these Artistro colors because I have the set of 42. Again, this is not sponsored by Artistro, but yeah, I enjoy them. They work well. And from the paint marker artists that I have seen online, they all compare them as like a budget-friendly option to Poscas. So yeah, I haven't had any issues with them, and I enjoyed them very much. The only thing I wish is I wish I had the set that had a thicker nib, because I have the set with the fine point, and it's great. I love it for detail, but it becomes such a mission when you're trying to like cover larger surface areas, and then you got to sit there with your flipping fine liner marker trying to like color in edges. So yeah, one day I'm going to invest in some thicker nibbed acrylic markers, but for now we are just going to be using the fine tip marker. But you know, it's okay, we make do. Also, all of the products and art supplies that I've mentioned in this video, I do have them linked in my Amazon storefront, so you can click that in my bio. And then yeah, I basically formed like a whole section of like my suggested paint supplies, drawing supplies, art tools, tech tools, like all sorts of stuff. So if you're into that stuff and want to see the products that I use, yeah, check out the link to my Amazon storefront. This part, I thoroughly enjoyed doing this part. So in the reference image, it's actually like a gradient. Yeah, so obviously I had to like try and get that sort of effect, and I didn't have any sponges on me, so I kind of did it with a brush. But I actually really enjoyed doing this part. So I did the sort of gradient area, and then I went over it in black to obviously cover where I had gone out the lines, and I was actually so proud with how that ended up. Like, it's probably one of my favorite parts of this whole painting was that sort of star with the writing there above the word super. So yeah, and here I am with some of my markers. As you can see, it's so much easier to do some black and some of the skin tones in the colors that I already have as paint markers. And also it's a lot more opaque sometimes, because when you're painting with a brush, I found the black in this Liquitex paint was actually a bit transparent. It says it was opaque, but it's not opaque. So instead of having to like build up tons of layers on the hair with the paint, I just needed one layer with the paint marker, which was so much easier. Here I am working on Beerus. I actually enjoy Beerus, like his character, like how he looks. Like, as I said, I've painted him before and it was quite fun. Oh, I love this part, peeling off the tape. It's so nice. I don't know, it's like ASMR. Then I went through and I just rubbed out some of the pencil lines that were left. And just like that, it's finished. So I'm going to show you some quick shots of what it looks like. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and enjoy.